Late this week, we learned that a special session is now expected to happen very soon. The session will deal with capital outlay funding, which was not resolved during the regular legislative session earlier this year. Capital outlay projects include roads, senior centers, and funding for the health department. A lot of funding for the health department, actually. So let's get into what that means for New Mexicans. I'm joined by regular panelist Tom Garrity from the Garrity Group PR. Vicki Harrison is back from Common Cause, New Mexico. Our friend Diane Dennis, former New Mexico Lieutenant Governor, is here, and Phil Marquez from Talk Radio Inc. Now, Lieutenant Governor, disagreements between Republicans and Democrats about roads, about taxes, about all kinds of things seems to have been resolved. I'm curious how, in your view, who took the leadership role here? Because we had a governor earlier saying she had no intention of calling a special session. Who stepped up here, in your view?
Well, I think you have to get a lot of credit to the Senate Finance Committee Chair, John Arthur Smith, for keeping the door open to that compromise, and to the House leaders, who all the legislators understand that this is important to their communities, that this money that's going to be spent on local projects is going to be a job creator. I think there's some underlying issues that probably are not resolved, which is they resolved what to do with the small amount for roads, but in the long term, we need a long-term solution to road repair and road building and infrastructure in New Mexico. So I think a lot of credit goes to the legislative leaders on both sides.
Yeah, exactly right. Tom Garrity, good to see you. And the idea that it seemed to me that somebody was heard here, meaning in the governor's office, legislative offices, the public and the business community has been saying now since the session ended, we need to have this. Yes. Somebody needs to step up here. We need to have this. Is this a case of the citizens won out here and somebody was heard?
Eventually, I think all of New Mexico will win out. I mean, $295 million into the economy over the next 12 months starting July 1 is a good thing. Right. Because we can debate whether they're economic-based jobs, or not. They're just jobs. It's investment in the state. And from that perspective, I think the citizens win. Now, with that said, I think there are a lot of citizens out there who feel like that they missed out on the great debate, that transparency somehow was tossed to the side of the road, and all these backroom deals were made. And while I'm all in favor of transparency, I would bet that if this was in full transparency with full debates, you couldn't have gotten through this $295 million package and all the other things in the span of a 30-day session. And so, if they were able to strike a deal, if everybody's okay with it, then transparency, yes, it's a concern, but
I hear you.
Got done.
Got to swing to my girl over here on transparency. Speaking of, exactly right. What do you make of the process and how we got here, given what Tom had just set up?
Well, Tom always has to be a downer. No, I'm just kidding. I'm focusing on the fact that both parties came together and put something together. That's exciting for us at Common Cause, to see people working together, because we see that less and less, not just in New Mexico, but obviously around the country. And I think the transparency is always an issue, but we need these jobs. We had discussion about this throughout the session. If you weren't around on the last day, both sides tweeted constantly what was going to be in their packages. So the fact that everybody could come together, and you've got, Republican Don Tripp and Democrat John Arthur Smith and working together is great for New Mexico.
Interesting, Phil, when you, based on what Vicki just said, the governor herself is talking all kinds of language about togetherness and stuff. It's amazing what happens when $295 million's on the table, isn't it?
Yeah, we can all get together on $295 million.
Exactly.
Even this panel.
That's right.
I think the key is that the fact is that they have gotten together and they are coming up with a plan that's good for the state. My concern is where the monies go. There's always this thing about money is coming into the community. We start getting into road construction, for example. So much of this money goes to out-of-state companies who bring in their own employees. And I think these are provisions that need to be looked at over the years as how exactly we're doing these bids and whether or not this money really is staying in our community.
Can I stay with you and pick up on something the Lieutenant Governor mentioned? It seems to me she's quite right. We need a plan of some sort when it comes to roads here. We sort of do it in this ad hoc way. There's a pile of money over here this session, we'll grab it. Then next year another pile, we'll grab it. And there's some continuity there, but in your view, what do we need to do to make this road situation less volatile than what it is?
Well, we were just talking about do you remember what great projects have been done on roads? And what exactly, the Paseo del Norte project was a fabulous thing for the city. 550 to Farmington, which was a 2-lane for years and years.
Right.
Used to have a bumper sticker that said, "Pray for me, I drive Highway 44." That now is gone, and so it's much prettier to drive that 4-lane. These kind of ideas, long term and long projects, is something we need to be looking at instead of these little short little roads, and it goes in, to make each county happy that some money's being spent there.
That's right. Tom, pick up on that if you would too. I mean, this is an economic development issue, I would think, as well.
Play right into my hands,
there you
Gene,
go, dude.
right into my hands. I love it. Yeah, I mean, when you look at rural transportation, redoing the roads, improving the roads is all about economic development. It's one part of it. Technology is the other aspect as far as how connected of the state are we, not just on the roads but in the air. So, I'm glad that the roads and the infrastructure is going to be improved as a result. I just hope that all the issues of New Mexico residents that were raised and voiced during the 60-day session can play out in the one day that we have. I bet it'll go 2 days.
That's probably true. I bet you're right too. Please.
The capital outlay bill itself didn't change much.
Yeah.
The structure for the highway financing is what the deal was crafted around primarily, and maybe some small tax break package. I don't know. I don't know that we've seen those numbers yet. But those are the things that. But at the end of the day, small communities, a few jobs will be created, small projects. But when we talk about infrastructure, it's more than roads. It's our schools, it's our hospitals. And we just read in Albuquerque that one of our schools is too dilapidated. Monte Vista has to be torn down. That ends up being partially capital outlay, partially the school funding capital outlay. So we need to think about capital outlay in a long-term planning process, whether it's roads, schools, healthcare facilities that are publicly run.
Is it who's driving that, Lieutenant Governor? I mean, we can have that come out of committee and all that, transportation committees and all that, but there's no overarching plan, it seems.
Well, the Governor Martinez has talked a little bit about having a plan for capital outlay.
Yeah.
We started that discussion back in 2003, 4, and 5, and the fact is that legislators are very protective of making sure that their districts, that they can divide up this capital so they can basically bring home the bacon. And until we get both sides together and put together a planning process that does some of the things that the auditor was talking about, which is, the money has to be spent within a certain amount of time or it's reverted back to a capital outlay fund. There's languishing money, and there was 10 years ago. But getting people together to say, okay, you can have the money, but you have to finish your project in 2 years or 3 years. It's a critical element, really.
Who would be opposed to that? I mean, deadlines go under highway projects all the time, but maybe another layer of deadline would make the public feel a bit better about this.
Well, I think that absolutely, Diane nailed it. I mean, that's what we need to have is this accountability. So the money is spent. I mean, and the money is spent correctly, and we have the accountability. I mean, we don't know what the bid process is like, as Phil is mentioning. Do we have a fair, open process for the residents of New Mexico? And when you talk about trying to put together a plan around roads or a plan around capital outlay, I think that's our biggest problem is each legislator is trying to do something for their community. And if you do a statewide plan, what if your community doesn't come up for 3 years? What are you going to tell the voters for 3 years? Sorry, us in Springer are out of it because we're actually putting our money over in this other area. So I think it's, it's difficult to have a statewide plan when you have 112 legislators answering to constituents.
Funny how that works, Phil. Just a minute left here. We've all gone through this experience. You've named some roads here. You get to the county line, and suddenly the road turns to crap. It's amazing how that happens. Like literally right at the sign. And that idea of continuity when you drive across that big fifth largest state in the union, it's a huge challenge. I can't really blame anybody individually for this, certainly. But the idea that we should expect decent roads, are we, is that a reasonable expectation for people in this day and age?
I think any state you go to now is having problems with roads. Anywhere you go, I remember I used to think, Colorado.
We're not the only state to go through
Colorado
this,
has
so.
great roads. Arizona has great roads, and I've traveled them. They're not as great as they used to be.
That's right.
Dollars, money. The economy is not what it was. There's not the big dollars coming in the oil and gas industry right now, for sure, which helped a lot of that stuff in some states. And we've had a drop in the cash flow, if you will. And so when you do that, Something has to go.
Yeah.
And roads seem to have potholes, and they just get bigger.
There you go. Let's see what happens next week. I think the lieutenant governor's right, and Tom, 2 days minimum. We'll see what happens. Now, we will have the very latest on this special session on our website. Just head to NewMexicoInFocus.org. Now, up next, we talk about water conditions here in New Mexico.